Hello guys, good morning. Today we will be covering a continuation of our decision systems topic, but also we will be covering intents, a new way of allowing you to create or transition from one activity to another in Android Studio. So, hello and good morning. I would like you to open your Android Studio. We will be creating a new project in this one. So let's click new, the new project. Then I would like you to name it your last name, underscore, intent. Well, let's start our activity by just adding a single button that would allow us to confirm that we need to move to the next activity. Let's wait for the project to load the UI. I think it has already been finished. Let's reopen. Let me reopen the project. Okay, now that the UI has loaded, let's add a button here. A single button that should allow us to interact. Maybe add an ID. Maybe let's name it button next activity. And for the text, let's type next. So now that we have created a basic UI in order for us to interact, let's go back to uh, main activity. Now, let's bind the button here. Let's just type next. Then R ID, then button next activity. Then let's set a listener to this button. Next, that set on click listener. Then start this. It might show an error because we have not yet implemented the view on click listener. View that on click listener. Now that it is set, let's recreate the on click listener for this. Why did I type? Wait. Okay. Now everything is settled. Um, let's try re-adding the switch for the switch that we are going to use for the button. So where's it here? Then the button, which is button next activity, break, then that's it. Okay. So now I want you to add the intents. Intents means our intention of doing something different in our project. So before we add intents, I would like you to create a new activity. But this time, I would like it to flow better without actually tinkering with the manifest of our application. If you have any questions, guys, I would like you to type it in chat so that I can uh, answer anything or any questions you have regarding our topic today. I might be a bit fast, so if you have any questions, just type it. Wait, let me just rearrange this because I think, okay, there. So now that we have created our on-click listeners for this, for the button I mean, um, if you have another button here, uh, wait a bit, I'm having sound issues. So what happens? Why is it that there's only a single case here? This happened because we only have a single button. So for example, we added another button here. We will add another case here for that other button. Otherwise, we will just be using a single case here for this example. So now that we have the case for our button, we will be creating new objects from here. The first one I would like you to create is uh, an activity. So from our project tab here at the left side, if it is not open, please click this project. Right click the folder just below Java. Then new, then empty activity. Again, right click this folder, new, then empty activity. We will be using, you can just name this uh, maybe activity 2. Let's just remove the main here. So you have an option to create or generate a new layout based on activity 2, right? It's up to you. You can check or uncheck this. So do not worry, we will be dealing with this later. So let's just click the generate layout file, then click finish. Now that we have uh, another activity here, It means that we now have two files that can display on our phones. It even has its own UI. It might seem a bit empty, but I think it suffices. Now, going back here at our main activity, now that we have a new activity in which we can pass something on, let's say we will display, we can modify the hello world here. Maybe rename it as hmm, let's name this text display. Then we can reuse the text view here. So let's add the text view. Text view, or rather text view. Then display. Find view by ID. Then look for the ID of what we have displayed. Next, we will be including what we call intents. Intent, then it might show up as an error here. It requires you to add a library. So make sure if you go here in at imports, let's remove this. If you go here, there should be an included import Android content intent. If it shows up as an error, it says the library not found, then it should be added as an import. What I did here is that I allowed it to automatically add an import. You can do this simply by when you are typing, if it shows up as a suggestion, you just press tab. If you press tab in its suggestion, it will automatically add the class as as an import. So now, again, let's go back here. What happened? I think froze for a bit there. Let's add the intent. So intent, new intent. So here we'll notice uh it says action. So we will not be doing action. Rather, we will be adding the package content. So let's try the package content. First, we will reference where we came from, which is main activity.java. So let's type main activity.java. Then comma. So you notice it throws up an error. Main activity.this. Then we will reference where what activity we are going to next. So let's go to the name of our next activity is this activity to the Java. So let's just go there. So activity to, instead of typing that Java, type that class. So class. Okay. So now we just told the computer that we have the intention of transferring the view from main activity to activity 2. So that's what this code does. But it won't function because it is still in object form. As you see, it is similar in declaration to creating a variable, right? So nothing happens for now. You are just creating an object to allow our intent. So let's say we want to start it already. We want to move to the next activity. Uh, to make a noticeable change, let's add a text view for now. So let's add maybe something like this. So let's type a text. Maybe mm, this is the second activity. So now we have our second activity here. Let's just add a period. This is the second activity. So we can start the activity by typing start activity, then call the intent, which is I. So with this, we are passing. We are passing the activity to the second activity. So let's see if this functions as it is. Let's see if it functions as it is. Let me uh, just show the emulator here at the site. So this is our application. Let's say, let's press next. So it moves to our second activity, which is the activity2.java. This is how you transfer from one activity to another. Sir, this is a neat feature. Can I use this on my group project? Of course you can. I will teach you how to pick this so that you can use this for the switch so that it will have different outcomes even though there's a single activity there. You can use 4 activities for 4 different branches for your group project. So let's go back here in our activity or in our main activity. Let's say this should be the first there should be a first condition. So let's add a few more buttons. So let's open up the UI. Let's set this as rename this or refactor this to condition 1 on 1. Refactor this. Then add another button and name this con2. If you have any questions, guys, please do type in chat. Okay, I think this is aligned now. So let's name this btn next condition 2. Let's type for for clarity's sake, Let's type this condition 1 and condition 2. So now we should have two buttons here. So let's add the second button. Let's refactor this one to next one. Refactor, then rename to next one. Then this should be next two. Let's copy this, then recreate next two. Now that we have two buttons, we need to uh, create a new case for our second button. So, as you might see, if we copy pasted this, it will cause redundancy issues. So, I would like you to paste everything here on the on click. Instead, remove the case, of course. Then, now, you won't have any issues regarding reusing the code. So, there will be a warning. The warning would be you are just repeating the code that you did for the other button. So we will be making changes to this. Let me remove the break. We will be making changes to this. For example, we would want different outcomes, but for just with a single uh, activity, right? So let's create a new integer here. Let's say int condition equals to 0 or assigned to the value of 0. Then, or rather, maybe we can use bool for this. Boolean, then condition true or false. Now, we can make it so that, for example, for case condition 1, we can set the condition to true here. Maybe we can just type this as null. Would allow, so yeah, we will default it with true. And the other one, wait. Let's do this above start activity. The other one being false. So we would like to transfer data from our from our main activity here, going to the second activity. From main activity here to our second activity. So let's start with uh, creating or by creating the intents to allow us to pass data from a single from our buttons. So I would like you to create I, then put extra. Put extra allows us to add data that can be passed along with the start activity. So for example, let's say condition. Let's name this condition. Condition. So it should retain the same name as the Boolean variable. So condition, then condition. So let's change this to false. Okay. Now, let's do this. Let's paste this to the other one as well. What this line does is that maybe rename this uh, condition var. Let's name so that it differentiates itself. So what this does is we created a temporary variable named condition var and assign with the value of condition. Meaning, it retains the value of false here and it is passed to the condition variable. Another example would be, for example, we have an integer here. Let's say um, int x is equals to, let's say, 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 4, 5, 6. So the value of x is equals to 1, 2, 3, 4 plus 4, 5, 6. If we want to transfer that data to the other activity, again, we need to type I that put extra, then uh, we do block quotes, then um, data pass. Let's just name this data pass then x. So meaning we are going to pass uh, the value of x, which is here, and rename it to data pass. Now, let's move on to activity 2 because we haven't touched activity 2 yet, right? So we want activity 2 to catch the data that the main activity is sending. So um let's try creating container container variables for the data that is being sent by the main activity. Okay, excuse me. So let's say for the boolean, then uh let's name it the same, boolean condition, and also boolean int x. Let's just name it the same. So now we will be creating again the intent. Intent. Let's just name it. Okay, so it will throw up the error, right? If you haven't pressed tab when you type this, so intent, press tab. Okay, you won't have any error. So let's type again, intent I is equals to get intent. Meaning, we will be getting the intent of the other activity in which this started from. So, intent I get intent. Then, we will be getting the data. We will be getting the data from the other intent. So, to do this, let's do boolean uh, then. Boolean is equals to I that gets string extra. It means it gets whatever the data is from the other from the other activity as string. So it is not appropriate for the Boolean. So let's look for an appropriate data type for what is being passed. So get, there should be different data types here. There's byte extra, there's char extra. Maybe we um can use this. Uh, let's just get this as string. It will throw up an error because Boolean is not equivalent to string, right? Condition, then the name of the variable that we set for the condition. So what is the variable name of condition here? We named it condition var. So condition var. So now that we are trying to pass it, it throws an error. Required is Boolean, but we provided string, meaning it is not appropriate. So let's try converting Boolean into string. Let's try converting Boolean into string. Or rather, the reverse. So let's ignore this for now. Then, or rather, okay, I will show this to you. So let's type Boolean dot parse Boolean. Then we will insert the code here inside. Then, so now, because we have gotten the value of condition var, which is set to string, then we transfer it over as a Boolean, meaning uh, the condition doesn't have an error because it is receiving a Boolean. Now, we will be adding the x back to its original value from the main activity. So, let's try x, then equals to I that get int extra because this is an integer, right? So there will be no other parsing involved. So let's type what is the variable name here? Variable name is data pass. So let's just type it here, data underscore pass. Expected two arguments but found one. Really? So this should be more appropriate. This should be appropriate enough for our integer. So to avoid this error, let's just transfer it over as a string. Then parse it as an integer that parse int. So again, we put this code here inside. Okay. So now we don't have any problems. Now we want to display it in this second activity. Let's say it is named as text view. So let's just ignore that for now. Let's type it as text view. So text view tab, then let's name it display again. Is equals to find view by ID r.id. Then what's the ID of this? Text view. So let's name it text view. Now, we're going to use it to display the variables that we have created. So display that set text, then let's say condition condition should be then plus move this condition should be let's parse the condition into ano string that value of then condition then and the value of x is again convert the integer into string. So the condition should be string value of condition and the value of x is. So it should display this as it is. And let me remove the semicolon here. So to add a variance here, let's try, this should be false, right? False, condition false. Then, uh, okay, let's try the code up. So condition 1, then it's stopping. So we are encountering an error. If you encounter such errors, you can easily diagnose the error if we go here in logcat. Logcat allows us to uh, see what errors occurred during the opening of our program. Then click error. So it will show up the error that caused the application to crash. So again, let's try this again and see what error occurred during our running of the program. So did it crash already? Okay. Now let's click this. So we found the error. So it should be in activity 2 line 21. So it is an activity 2 line 21. The error occurred when we tried to get the value of x, which is data pass. So let's diagnose. S is null. We haven't passed the data. Unable to start the activity. So what caused the error? Let's see. So here, we caused an error because apparently data pass wasn't passed actually. So wala tayong nakuha na data here. The data was not actually transferred over. So let's try diagnosing the error, what caused this. So perhaps this may have caused the error. So again, let's try re-executing this. As you might have noticed, no error occurred when I pressed the condition 2. It is because uh, due to sheer or due to what do you call this? Coincidence, we have not put this line of code here. What caused the error is that the integer was not actually parsed correctly when we have passed it over other uh to the other activity. So let's see here what caused the error. Again, let's try rerunning the code. So again, the error is still on line 21. So if we are going to get the value of integer, so let's try doing this the proper method. Let's do this I that get int extra. Then name the variable, which is, what is the variable? Data pass. Data underscore pass. Then it will always ask you the default value. So let's set the default value to 0. So perhaps this might have been the mistake that we did earlier. So let's try running the code. So now it threw an error instead of actually closing the program altogether. So it said here in the error that there is no data found. So let's try ignoring, putting an ignore to the integer for now. And let's see if the condition is actually passed over. Let's see. Wait. Let's disable this line of code regarding the x. Okay, done. So now, let's type. Okay, the condition should be false. Wait, where's the other button? Okay, let me. The other button seems non-functional. So let me check where the code made a mistake. The condition here should be false. Meanwhile, the other should be true. Condition true, condition false. Okay, let's try this again. So we started as false, so it should set here as true if we press condition 1. Then we transferred over the condition to the other activity. Then, okay. Then in activity 2, it should be displaying what activity 1 wanted it to display. So now, we will be doing uh, a personal activity. I will be opening the links for the GitHub submissions later on, later this day. But today, our activity will be converting days, or rather converting numerical months into string months for display. Okay, let's go in main activity. Let's try removing anything related to, except for start activity. Let's try removing other anything else. And rather create a new one in which it should be allowing in month, numerical months, number months. It's up to you how you name your uh, it's up to you how you rename your variables here. Okay, so now in main activity, let's just leave behind a single button. So let's remove condition 2 button for a better for a better use of the code. No, I would like you to refactor this, then save delete, to actually uh, have a better experience with the code without having any errors. But you can also use delete. So let's just proceed with delete. Now it will throw an error here, let's just remove this line. Now that we have int number in months here, we will be adding a plain text. Just mm, let's reset the constraints. Then let me hide this so that we can actually enlarge everything. Okay. So our activity involves creating switches. So let's just name this type number in month. Uh, type months in number in numerical form. Well, let's just put here 0. Name this proceed. So this should be what our UI would look like for now. So type months in numerical form. Now we would like to receive the data coming from the edit text. So let's rename the ID edit text or text uh, month value. Refactor it, then add the edit text here. Let's say edit text tab, then uh, number value, input. Let's just type input equals find view by ID, then r.id, then text month value. Now we are going to type uh, we can easily put the value here. For example, uh, integer that parse int. Then uh, let's say display that get text. So what's the error here? Let's see. Wait, does this need one more? Saying that value off. Then display that get text. Okay. First is we included string parse int. So it started off with display that get text because display that get text has a data type of editable. So editable, then convert it to string, then string converted to integer. That's what happens in this line, ha. Uh, to clear up the confusion a bit. So now we have the number in months. We are going to pass this number to the other activity. So let's say let's say we're going to pass this number, then int, or rather, where's the activity int? I dot uh, put extra. We can use put extra here. Put extra, then maybe let's type int months. Can even use capital here, int months. Then comma the value, which is number months. Then like this. Now, let's move over to activity 2. I would like you to use switch for this. So, I recommend uh, doing it similar to this. This is a switch. So, for now, let's ignore the other ones. We need to get the data from the switch. So, or rather, the data from the int month. So, int months, int underscore months. Remove the condition. So now that we have gotten the intent of the other one, it should be here, imports. Okay, then X. Mhm. Now, we're going to create the switch. So to create the switch, you can easily copy over the parameters of how switch is created. So switch, then parenthesis, then X, then this one. So, for example, case, then 1, then break. You need to copy this 12 times because we have 12 months, right? Oh, oh, wait. So, case 1, case, case 2, again, recreate this for 12 times. So, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each number represents a month. Okay? Each number represents a month. So now we have 12 months. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So let's say let's change the display. Display that set text, the month that you have typed is January. So let's copy this for the other ones as well. Nine, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. With 12 being December. December as well as November for 11, so on and so forth. So I want you to change everything here. So this is as simple as it is. I want you to actually change each case to months. Now, what happens if somebody type 13 or 0 or -1? So we will be creating something similar to else in if else then statement. We call that default. Now we will create a default case. So break. So let's just type this again. But instead of showing a month, let's say error, you type the a wrong number. So that settles it for our activity for today. Any questions before we end our class?